Hey, Ephraim, do you know if Rue is still feral?
Uh, yeah, about that, I actually heard that he's gone over the edge of being too feral. He attracted some sort of demon. I don't know how demons work, but they planted the demon seed inside him, and now Rue is turning into a demon.
I'm going to do with that boy. All right, I guess we should probably find someone that has experience with this kind of stuff.
Do you still have that number for Demons Begone?
No, but I do have Ghostbusters. I don't think that's going to work out in our favor, though. Let me see if I can find someone here.
Okay.
All right, let me see. Well, this person was a demon. Let's see how they. Maybe they can give it some help and figure out how to get rid of it. And here we go. Hello there.
What? What the fuck? Not fucking. No, I'm not dealing with this today. You can't pay me enough to deal with this today.
Oh.
What the fuck do you want? Are you going to kill me? And if you are going to kill me, at least let me put up a fight.
We don't have plans on killing you, and I can pay you if you would like. But, no. We actually just have a few questions for you if you'd be willing to oblige us.
Are you a god?
In some ways, maybe.
I am not. I'm just a normal dragon.
Great, dragons. Fucking Christ. Do you work for the Consortium?
Who?
No.
The Arcanum Consortium? Fire Cold? Well, technically speaking, Aurelium.
No, I work for that guy.
What?
Points to Ashura.
Sometimes he does. Other times it's just difficult to get him out of bed.
Okay. Alright.
I've been telling you we should put my bed in here, and I can just interview guests from my bed. That would be so much easier.
Sure, whatever you're into, my dude.
Anyway, hi. My name is Ashura.
I'm Ephraim.
Hi. Val.
Nice to meet you, Val. We are the Delegation of Dreamers. We were just hoping that we could interview you, possibly get some information from you.
Okay.
So, just to get you on the same page, we have a friend with a demon problem. And our note says that you used to be a demon.
Yeah, I try not to think about it too hard, but yeah, for a little bit there. I don't really know if I might your best bet. I mean, I think I might still have the Armos card. I could give you that. He's more of a you summoned a demon and now you need to get your way out of a deal or ensure that the deal you're about to make is on even terms. So I don't actually think he would be able to help here.
Oh, so he's like a lawyer for people who had deals with demons.
Yeah. Something like that.
That could be useful, but would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself?
Actually, first, would you like to have a seat? Maybe a snack. We did bring you in after all.
Seats, fine. Don't worry about food. No offense. I'm not taking food from mystery people in my head.
None taken. And actually, are we in... I don't think we're in their head. Would their head technically be here?
You're asking me?
Look, the planes are fucked. Everything is fair game at this point.
Oh no. The planes are fucked?
In my world, yes.
I hope they're satisfied.
Well, megalomaniacal, insane kings deciding to even the playing field by merging the planes together into one big conglomeration.
Ah.
It's more like shifting soup. I mean, society, as it tends to do, has marked it out with what they can, explained it in their own ways, because the actual knowledge that the world has been merged together has been mostly lost to history, except for some reason the idiot 5 of us, and some members of our crew, and quite possibly our wizard, political, magical sugar daddy, but we don't have time to get into that. Well, maybe we do. Who's to say? I'm technically not supposed to talk about the High Observer anyway. Forget I said it. So yeah, mystery of my world. I happen to be burdened with the knowledge. It's a whole thing.
You said that you're part of a crew? What sort of crew is that?
Oh god. We're called the Ground Crew. Originally, that was sort of a utilitarian, just the title of what we did, the original 3 of us. You're in my head, and I'm in a different plane of existence. Technically speaking, I could say her real name, but, she would also get really pissed at me if I passed up her name to, an entity that I didn't know. We're gonna just call her Allie. Go with that.
Okay.
Allie and Dio. Dio doesn't care. Dio would love to try and fight you or arm wrestle you. He's done that, actually. Arm wrestled a dragon very early on. Watched it, it was great. Hilarious, even. were working for the consortium for a time as sort of a expedition crew, freelancers sort of thing. The ground crew was basically our job. We were supposed to go into dangerous situations and find things and deal with things, and then we would come back and be paid handsomely for whatever we brought back. That relationship quickly fell apart because they're scheming and conniving bastards, and also the son of their former head of the organization got a vendetta against Dio. So, we try not to deal with them these days. But I'm also, technically speaking, part of the ship's crew. We travel around on these Songwood sailors. They're basically just giant ships with some of them having the ability to go down to surface and, to swim in the water. But you don't go to surface and go into the water unless you are an adventurer or you have a death wish, but I repeat myself.
So you guys sort of live in the sky?
We live in the celestial plane on floating islands. The whole world's called Avion, I think. But I live in technically at this point I mostly live on the ship. But we do have a technical base in Dragon's Back, which is one of the 7 cities. 6 if you don't count the Ordain. 7.5 if you count the Northern Wastes.
What is the Northern Wastes?
The Northern Wastes is a hellscape and the spawn of the Earth, and I can't fucking stand it. In reality, the Northern Waste is basically a giant ice tundra field. There's a prison there. It sucks. Have not actually been in it. Known people who have gone to it. Some of them have escaped. Most of them haven't.
I think it was a pretty good prison.
Yeah, you can escape, but then you're running into the frozen wastes. Good fucking luck. There's a giant lighthouse there that used to hold a dwarven civilization. It's the reason I speak Dwarvish, because basically I had one weekend there working for the consortium back before I realized I was working for the consortium. Had essentially the worst weekend ever, and got this nasty-ass Remoraz scar on my neck, because, Remoraz. And then after that, we sort of agreed that the Northern Waste blows. And then I had to go back to the Northern Wastes, where I was then forced to deal with learning the secrets of the universe, because for some reason, learning the secrets of the universe meant going under the ice sheet into the abyss of the water and going underwater. And it was a whole goddamn thing and a whole goddamn time. And I'd like to never do it again. And then I also felt like a god aboleth, but that's just fucking god aboleths dealing with gods. Basically, it's unfortunately another day's work, but I'd rather it not be.
Oh. Well, how did you meet this crew?
Yeah, I was going to say, did you all know each other like since you were kids, or how did you all meet?
No, I'm way, way, way too old to know these fuckers as children. In fact, if I knew them as children, I think it probably would have been illegal.
You don't look that old to me.
Thank you. I would say it's a good skincare routine, but really it's just a shit ton of magic. So it was sort of accidental. I wasn't intending to work for these people. Hell, I would have been content just doing my whole solo thing for the rest of my natural life. But no. I had to crawl out of some mayor's window and end up in a situation where the guards were like, you're going to be a problem and you shouldn't have been here, so we're gonna arrest you. And I'm like, well, I'd really like to not be arrested. And so I ran into this guy who decided to help me out. And by help me out, I mean he got into a drinking contest at 11 in the morning. And so I decided that anyone who's willing to get into a drinking contest with guards at 11 in the morning, clearly someone you kind of want to be at least acquaintances with. Unfortunately, that meant ending up in the consortium's front chamber with some weird researcher who looked like he was made of paper and this other kid on fire. And I said, you know what? Sure, let's see how this plays out. They got some contract to go out into the wilds, and I said, well, I guess I'm sticking around. I don't have anything better to do this week. And then I ended up on the ship, and it was about halfway through leaving port when they realized, yeah, I wasn't hired for this. I don't have any official paperwork. I've just tagged along, but I'm useful, so they kept me. And that's at least how we became the start of the ground crew. After that, we were headed back from an adventure. I fought a pit demon and got a boon from an angel, and technically had to watch one of my new friends, put air quotes around friends. We weren't friends at the time. We were co-workers at best.
Hold on a second.
Hang on. You fought what, and you got a boon from... Can we get a bit of detail on this?
How did you get into a fight with a pit demon?
Yeah, sure. So we were traveling into the wilds and we accidentally wrecked through a ship graveyard, broke our mast, We found a free-floating island and said, let's port here until we can either fix the mast or figure out how we're going to get home. And what we ended up finding was a Temple to the Sun and Storm, I believe is what it was technically called. And when we wandered in, we met this guide to the temple. His name is unfortunately lost me. Puny little guy. Kind of cute, actually. Wouldn't tell him that at the time. Afraid it would just give him an ego, or he would try to snap my ankles, and I really kind of like my ankles.
Ankles are good to have.
They're really good. You know, a little flimsy, but load-bearing. Truly, the human body is a disaster. Anyway, we did the temple's trials. You know, we wandered through a field of fog, accidentally met a fog demon, sort of maybe flirted with him into not choking me, but, you know, whatever gets the job done, whatever gets you through the day, whatever keeps you breathing. He traveled with us as we completed the rest, and then realized that to exit the temple's trials, we would have to go through a field of holy light, and that's bad news for a demon, which is probably the reason he was kept behind the challenges. And he said, you agreed to get me out. And I said, okay, sure, I will agree to get you out in some capacity. And he's like, cool, you know my name, here's also my true name, so that you can summon me out of here. And I said, you know, like an idiot, sure, why not, no big deal. Put it into the back of my brain, completely forgot about it. I was busy at the time. My friend had also just decided to bleed himself to death. So we brought him back with a little shock bug given to us by our ship's alchemist. Her name is Nana. She's great. Also a little insane. Also owns a chainsaw.
Why did he
stab himself?
We had
Why does she have a chainsaw? So many questions.
The temple's challenge demanded a sacrifice. The wording of sacrifice was vague. We offered a little bit of blood, and it said, good, no cigar. So my friend said, all right, you won't take a little blood, how about a lot of it? So he stabbed himself before we could really stop him. Got the job done, but then we had to figure out what to do with his dead body, or near dead body, and hope that we could bring him back before he was a really dead body. You know, going from a physical human being to an object.
Was there no easier way?
At the time, we didn't have a cleric. It is very important to me that you know that all we had was a druid who had spent the past, we didn't know this at the time, but had spent the past, 7 years in hell. Me, who has absolutely no understanding of magical capabilities, at least not at the time, and the fighter who was currently bleeding out on the ground, who had magic, not that kind of magic, and also didn't believe he had it, and would let himself get shot to prove that he doesn't know he has magic. So our best bet at the time was the ship's alchemist, and hoping that she either had a healing potion or, something else. What she had was a shock bug. She's like, this has a little bit of a lightning rod, will get hit by lightning, 50-50 chance he wakes up. And we said, we have nothing better to deal with, so we stuck the shock bug on him. He got struck by lightning. Not the first nor the last time he will get struck by lightning. Woke up. Then we were like, okay, well, we gotta see what doing all those challenges meant. And we ended up in a different chamber with a pit demon and a dying angel. And the pit demon was mostly dead. It was only 60% of a pit demon. No big deal. We managed to off it fairly quickly. I spent most of it cowering under the pews. Not my bravest moment, but in my defense, I was young and squishy and not good at straight combat, because straight combat gets thieves killed. Most of the time, you just kind of want to get in and get out before anyone notices you're there. If you're getting into a fight, something has gone wrong.
You were covering under his pubes?
In the pews. It was in a church chapel.
Why is there pubes in a church chapel?
No, wrong.
Anyway, I love those shock bugs. I think I still have a bag of them. They tingle on your tongue when you eat them.
Yeah, no, stick a lightning rod through them and see if you can use it as a revivify device. Anyway, we beat the pit demon. The angel was dying. The angel said, here's my weapon. Do you want a boon? And we said, well, we need the ship fixed so we can go home. Can you fix our ship? And he blessed our mast, got it back up and running, and made it so that we never had to clean the deck ever again. It was great. And then we head home. And, with what treasures and trinkets we'd managed to find, and, made a little profit.
And what originally happened to your mast?
We accidentally got swamped into a ship graveyard, and something hit it really fucking hard. And it snapped in half and gave our captain a concussion, so we had to pilot it. Oh yeah, that's the whole thing. The captain, great guy, a little bit dim, a little bit dense, sort of like ramming your head into a brick wall affectionately. His name is Morgaine. He's a lot. But we agreed that, when the mast fell, the ship kind of got thrown asunder. The cook and one of his best friends got thrown overboard. We never found the body. he got a concussion so bad that he was basically dazed, and we were like, great, we need to get back to a major city and turn in what profits we've made, and also, get this guy medical attention. Because again, no ship medic. We basically agreed after that we needed to hire a medic. But as we were getting back into port, this merchant ship ran in and said, hey, we're headed out, you're headed in. Can you take this stowaway off our hands? Said stowaway is at the time, 14-year-old half-elf who looks like, you could punt her if you kicked her too hard. But she introduces herself, and we say, sure, we'll turn you into the proper authorities. That eventually basically got sidetracked when taking the guy to get medical attention resulted in all of us somehow getting arrested. And we sort of just agreed to keep the kid around and lie about her age on paperwork. From there, we sort of, traveled around as a quartet. Then we sort of agreed by force, basically. The chick who bailed us out of jail was a political figure, and she's like, cool, you now sort of work for me more than you work for the consortium. And we said, you're getting us out of jail, so I guess we have to agree, but none of us are happy about this. She said, here, have another stowaway. Her name is Millie. Her parents want her to get some adventuring. You let her die, it's on your head. You're going to be in shitload of trouble and we'll put you right back in jail. And we said, cool, we won't let her die. But now she's just sort of stuck around. We've kept her. That's the crew. That's the ground crew, at least. The rest of the crew is a myriad of characters and colors and various shapes and sizes, and some of them are still currently around and alive.
How does a ship bury another ship?
Pardon?
Do they use the paddles? If you have a big ship and they take a dead ship to the ship graveyard, how do they bury the other ship?
Oh, it's not a ship graveyard in that sense. It's a sense that your ship got wrecked while you were traveling abound to the point of no return, and it's just sort of stuck floating with no bodies because it's been wrecked to high heaven. You can't go home and you can't find, source. It's just a floating mass of ships that have been so destroyed beyond being able to be used.
All right, so there's no tombstones.
No, just a lot of free-floating wood. Hence the danger.
So,
Sorry.
I'm trying to think of where to go from there.
Yeah, where do we go from here? How did you get possessed by the demon?
So remember that demon I mentioned that I met in the Storm Temple that I said I would free when I got the time?
Uh-huh.
So I said that I put it in the back of my brain and I forgot about it. I didn't forget about it. I ended up in some guy's fancy secret library and I found a tome that would let me learn a demon summoning ritual, and I said, sure, put that into my brain space and let that live there. And I said, yeah, I'll probably never do anything about it. I'll just have the information that you have but never use. Good. Then we ended up in Greyshale, which is another quest for the consortium. The consortium basically asked us, hey, we need this guy taken back to where he lives. Said guy was this fucker named Chad, and he was a lich. He was demi-lich. Lich? Demi-lich? What's the difference? Fucking who knows.
Doesn't matter. If his name is Chad, then I'm on your side.
His name was Chad. He's an undead motherfucker. And he was fucking magic, and the consortium wanted him taken back to where he was supposed to be. Unfortunately, Chad pissed all of us off, and Greyshale sucked. And also, when we showed up, our ship was blown out of the goddamn sky. So, along with some help from another ship, we managed to survive, barely, but lost the orb.
Was it a strong gust that blew you out of the sky?
Thunder cannons. Lots and lots of thunder cannons. Thunder cannons powered by a giant skeleton. His name was Kyle.
Oh. Kyle, the giant skeleton with his thunder, shoots cannons.
No, cannons that shoot thunder.
Oh, from a giant skeleton.
From a giant skeleton, yes. More power, you kick into it, the more power you get out of it. Having a giant skeleton pound the back of it means you're going to have a pretty much fairly safe bet. The only reason we survived is because the wizard hucked a fireball out of the basement of the ship that managed to get us to go fast enough to avoid it. Unfortunately, that meant losing precious cargo, so we had to venture into the city to get said precious cargo.
And I think you'd lose the back of the ship, too.
Yeah, that too, which is why we were lucky that the other ship happened to show up and, provided a bit of a rescue, and thankfully it was friendly. We managed to get out of Greyshale alive, barely. We basically had to kill the Lich and lay siege to the city, and in doing so, we nearly lost a lot of people, and I was sick and tired of nearly losing a lot of good people because they made the mistake of working with us. So I contacted this guy that we'd run into named Viarmo, and I asked him to help me organize the ritual enough that we could summon the demon and see if we can strike a deal. And it worked, unfortunately, too well, because no one told me about the difference between names and true names. I summoned his true name, broke him out of his prison, stayed true to my word, but now I have a loose demon with no way of controlling it. And when he got out, he did work for us for a time, managed to help break up the lines, but we nearly lost a lot of good people.
Because of this deal?
Because of the demon.
Oh.
I didn't even technically make a deal at this point. I just accidentally let loose a demon on my crew and on these people. I had to watch in horror as I nearly lost Morgaine. And I'll never be able to forgive myself for that. But I was an idiot. I was fucking stupid. And I still said that I wanted to make sure that it never happened again. And so this fucking demon went up to me, stuck his tongue down my throat, literally and metaphorically, and slapped it onto my soul.
Oh, so your soul is like deep down into your esophagus.
More like in my gut somewhere. I don't really know the technicalities of it. All I knew is I had a fucking demon tongue down my throat, and it wasn't a pleasant experience. Demons, terrible kissers.
I'll make a note of that.
I can attest.
Well, at least this demon was a terrible kisser. My Dio ran into a succubus. I don't actually know if... Well, no, she had to have kissed him at least once. We'll get to that in a bit.
Some of them aren't the worst, but I have had better.
Yeah, well, such is existence. Anyway.
Agreed.
After that, things started to change. I grew claws. I was only sort of there I was physically there, but I looked pale and ill, and stuff was weird, and I knew that I couldn't stay like this. So I started to do what I always do. I rectify my mistakes. I think, maybe. I don't actually know if I always rectify my mistakes, but I try. I try very hard to.
Mm-hmm.
And after my ally, the druid, and this other woman who worked on the ship agreed that off to the side that they were going to kill the demon without me knowing. Not that I wanted him around. No, fucking Christ, thank God they killed him, but they did it behind my back thinking that I wanted him around, and they tried to chew me out for it. Actually, technically speaking, Allie tried to kill me, but it's not the first time she's tried to kill one of the party members. Like I said, she shot Dio trying to convince him that he did actually have magic.
I mean, true friends try to kill each other.
The amount of times I've woken up to Airframe with a knife at me.
Yeah, she tried to set me on fire. It was a whole thing. But apparently the exchange went both ways. He got some of my abilities in doing so, but thankfully everyone came out of that experience mostly alive, and I started the process of trying to get an exorcism. First one was Salt, courtesy of the god Vripsack. Our ship medic, we actually had a medic at this point. His name's our doctor. Lovely guy. Bit of a nutcase. Don't take Saturday holy water. If he offers you Saturday holy water, don't take Saturday holy water.
What's Saturday holy water?
It's just cocaine.
Oh,
What a coincidence that someone named Doctor would become a medic.
Yeah, we don't really know the specifics of it, but he was put together by his church, and he might be the only last remaining one of his church in specifics, but he cleansed me with salt and bleaches. Unpleasant experience.
now, quick question, if I may. How did you know that you had to get some exorcisms?
I didn't, but the first one didn't take as much as I wanted it to, so I tried again, and if that didn't take fully, then I figured I'd try again. Though the third one was less of an exorcism and more of an accidental cleansing, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
The second one sort of took, on the one hand, I had an angel sacrifice himself for me, or at least, the cleansing of my soul, and, now had a new holy weapon. Oh, God, I have to talk about... So remember that angel that I mentioned all those minutes ago?
Oh yeah, when you fought the pit fiend.
The one that fixed your ship and made it so that it's always clean, which, by the way, how does that work? What happens when something falls on the deck?
It got catapulted off in a very violent fashion. It was kind of hilarious.
Oh, if you bring a dirty dog on deck, does it just cheat out?
No. Creatures were fine, but if any dirt or blood fell onto the deck, it got flung off in dramatic fashion.
Oh, okay.
I feel like you could weaponize that.
I think we thought about it, but then got distracted, and trying to train what's a weapon and what's just a guy on deck is a whole process. Plus, it's like a blessing from an angel. You don't really try to weaponize that if you can avoid it.
Fair.
Anyway, the other thing we got with that blessing was the angel's weapon. It was a giant warhammer. It has a name. Its name is Seraphim. It's also the name of the angel. So for the sake of brevity and for differentiation, we're going to call it Glowstick, which is what we called it a lot more than what we called it Seraphim.
Must be good to have at parties.
Yeah, it was great. Glowstick was Dio's weapon. Dio was the only one who could really use it. None of us are really built to use a war maul. He was good with it. Catapulted himself into high heights and slammed it into people. It was great. Great, fun time. Unfortunately, when we acquired it, the more we used it, the more we realized that it was sentient. And its sentience being used as solely as a weapon sort of meant that it became more and more violent.
Oh.
Which wasn't good. We have a tendency to travel with less than pleasing entities. Hell, one of our crew members, our crew members. We don't know what Johnny Boy is, but Johnny Boy is an entity. It doesn't speak common, but it's really, really good at doing the ship rigging, and it doesn't need sleep. So we allow it to stick around.
Well, that's good.
I feel like you come across a lot of entities that just go, "Hey, can I hitch a ride?"
Oh yeah, no, we hitched. We had an adult brass dragon transformed into a human hitch a ride with us for a period of time. We offered travel to a bunch of treadies to introduce them to grass. It didn't go out well. They were sort of brutally murdered, but we don't have time to get into that.
By the grass?
No, they were murdered by city guard because we brought monstrosities into a city. They were crew. We hired them. We were going to introduce them to grass, but then we disappeared for 3 months, and nobody told the city watch that the treadies on the ship were just fucking crew, so they were brutally murdered.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, all right then.
Yeah, we like to joke that the second most dangerous gig you can have in the fucking cities, other than, working for any of the organizations, is becoming crew on our ship. You have a high mortality rate. It's not great, but again, we're doing stupid shit and traveling during dangerous times. You kind of expect that with the job.
I heard if you have a ship with a crew and you give them all uniforms, don't give them red uniforms. That's apparently like a death sentence.
Yeah.
Well, that's if they go on land.
We don't really have a uniform. They're just sort of allowed to wear whatever the hell they came on board with. Anyway, angel, sentient weapon, bad idea, bad combination. There was a risk that the angel in the weapon would fall. So we said, that's probably not a smart move. So we took it to the temple, and I said, well, while I'm here, might as well try again at that exorcism. And I did, and I met the angel, and he said, I'd forgotten what I was, and I need to sacrifice myself again. Apparently this angel does that a lot. And so when it sacrificed itself, it bonded from Dio to me. Seraphim, the glowstick rapier, is now mine. Apparently it transforms to whoever it's using, so Dio gets a war maul, Millie gets a bayonet, Judy gets a dagger, Allie's is a scimitar, and mine is a rapier.
Okay.
Do we know why I decided to go from one owner to the other?
Best I can figure is that because the angel was making the sacrifice in my name, it transferred to me. I'm not completely convinced that some part of it isn't tied up to me fully, but it's no longer sentient. More vibes-based these days, so I'm probably never going to get straight answers.
Hoping at least good vibes.
Mostly I ask it for vibe checks when we're dealing with holy and unholy entities, or just for general sensations of, and extraplanar nonsense. But yeah, the exorcisms were a lot, so to speak. But that was 2. Third one was, again, like I said, an accident. We sort of, well, how do I put this? My friend, the druid. God, I have to explain the orb. Again, this never technically was said by me. I never told you about this. But the original mission we went out was to explore the wild frontiers, officially, on paper. Unofficially, there was a secret object hidden in the basement of our ship that was packed away like a little orb with a bunch of arcane sigils on it. Said orb actually contained the head of a god, and the alchemist's job was to try and extract ichor from the godhead. God blood. Well, God blood is highly, highly dramatized. Ichor is alchemical material like any other, but the quest for immortality and what have you. We sort of realized that said god's head was named Candle, and my friend, Allie, decided to commune with it, and in doing so, became the cleric of Candle, one of few. There aren't many, if at all, any that exist anymore. Partially because Candle was sort of massacred to merge the planes together because he was too trusting, and partially because his body parts are spread out across the 7 cities. Well, we actually don't know if there's a part in the Aerdon. We suspect there is, but we can't have confirmation because, again, the Aerdon is filled with monsters.
And does this candle light the way for you?
Sort of. Kind of. He's a bit vague when it comes to specifics. The best we've managed to get out of him is he wants to be reunited as a full body because, why wouldn't he? And there are theoretically ways to do it. The Candle Temple monk, the one remaining one who has not gone insane, may be able to bind his body back together should we find all the pieces, but we don't know for certain.
How did his body get split up?
Yeah, was he in a ship crash?
No, he was sacrificed. They needed a holy and an unholy entity. Okay, when I say they, I should probably clarify. The secret of the universe. A long time ago, long eons ago, long before any of us were a twinkle in our grandmother's eyes, there was a king named Artaxerxes. We're going to call him Xerxes for the sake of clarification. Xerxes had family and a life, and unfortunately, he was struck by tragedy at a young age, allegedly. The kid sort of did some mental diving, and all of this knowledge is kind of secondhand. The kid transcribing. When they were struck by tragedy, he sort of went crazy and decided that the process of life and death was limiting and inherently a bit unfair. So he decided to try and level the playing field. Doing so meant merging the planes together. A ritual that required a member of holy and an unholy.
Okay.
The holy member was the god Candle, who his sister was a priest to, and was trusting and kind, and for the most part, liked humanity and wanted to help them. So he was lured and captured and split into 7 pieces. And the ritual flooded the world, drowning it. Xerxes vanished. They don't know where, just sort of vanished. And Candle was dead. Though a dead god is different than an excrutorious god, which is like, excrutorious gods are like gods that are no longer worshipped in any capacity and might be like physically and literally dead. Well, actually, may not be physically dead, metaphorically are pretty much dead to rights. They've done something fucked.
Like a retired god.
Retired by force, yeah.
All right.
Fired?
Yeah, that's probably more accurate. But Candle's just dead, and we're trying to put him back together. The first time we found a tomb, his tomb, was under the city of Iron Shelf. And we started to traverse it, and in doing so, we found a pool of holy water. Waxy holy water, the whole candle motif. I stuck a finger in, figuring that, yeah, like, we'll see where this goes. And when I stuck a finger in, I no longer had a claw when I pulled it out. Because that's the thing, that was the last remaining thing, is I still had claws.
Oh, no, it melted your finger?
No, it melted the claw.
Okay.
It didn't so much melt as it did just magic it away, because the claws were technically growing on my fingernails, the whole thing. I really tried not to ask too many questions about it. I basically wanted it gone as soon as I'd realized I'd done it.
But it gave you a manicure.
Yeah, basically. And so I did the only obvious thing. Well, if sticking my hand in was going to cleanse me that way, what would happen if I just submerged myself? So I hung my jacket on the kid, I took off my shoes and my armor, and dropped myself in, pulled myself back out, and ow, it hurt like a motherfucker. Plunging oneself into holy water when you're basically sort of still part demon means you kind of accidentally nearly knock yourself out. We tried to get to where we were actually going, but we basically agreed that I was in no state to continue traveling. So we went back up the way we came. Actually, technically speaking, we got teleported out because that was actually, that was the first meeting with the High Observer. Oof, that temple was a mess. Anyway, when someone realized we were in the temple, they popped in and grabbed us and teleported out. And we met the High Observer. Again, I can probably tell you his name because you were probably never going to interact with him, but again, you never heard this name from me. His name is He's also a consortium member. He is the great diviner. His job is to watch over the cities like a giant panopticon from his tower.
Is that how he knew you were in the temple?
Basically. He took an interest in us, in what we do, and how we're basically chaos entities, but can be controlled if asked nicely. He just wanted to help, I think. He claims he has a neutral ground, but everyone's got motive, means, and opportunity, and he helps. He let us raid his liquor cabinet. That's always nice. Let us sleep for the night after we had gone a little bit too long without sleep, so that was also nice. And kept us safe for a night, which was really nice. Never doubt the power of being an awarded wizard tower. And he let us check in on some people, which was always nice. High-level scry, man. Never doubt it. High-powered scry, man. Never doubt it. But, yeah, that was the first time we met. Not the last, of course. Technically speaking, we are sort of still living out of his tower at the moment, but not the last time we've run into him.
Okay, but he's a good guy, right?
Good so far as in his goals currently align with ours. I fear that should that ever change, we would be pretty much in hot water. Though he does seem to be very fond of Millie, which is always a good sign, and has given her a permanent sending stone to him, so that's useful. And I convinced him to be a better boyfriend, so that's also good.
Okay.
Actually, convinced him is putting it too lightly. I shamed him into being a better boyfriend.
That's the way to go.
As one does.
As one does, yes.
After you skinny dipped in the holy water, it completely removed the demon from you.
Yeah, no, I'm no longer part demon. I am more paladin. Part of the whole becoming a demon thing was like, well, the being a demon didn't work. Being whatever results from a demon deal didn't work. Let's try the other path. So I asked Allie to see if I could swear myself to Candle, and, well, I'm not much of a cleric type, but I am a bit of a combatant, and I already had a holy weapon, so swore myself to Candle. So I think I'm technically paladin, which, God, I hate everything about that. I can't. Paladins frustrate me. So determined for the better good that they would neglect their own skin. Paladins, they're frustrating. They know they have lives and families and people who give a shit about them, but that doesn't matter if it means they can sacrifice themselves to the greater good. What the fuck does who decides the greater good fucking anyway? Anyway, sorry.
No, from my experience, no such thing as good or evil. Usually people are trying to do what they believe is best for themselves.
Exactly.
It isn't inherently evil.
Unless, of course, they're sacrificing their body to host a fucking lich so that we have enough time to fucking crack its skull open.
True. You got me there.
Fucking self-sacrificing idiots.
So, would you be willing to help coordinate our kobolds to find some holy water and try to get our friend Rue into a pool of it?
First, we gotta hunt Rue down.
I mean, I might be able to, wrangle. God.
Perfect, that's a deal.
I can convince the dog to try and bless them, but.
Ephraim, calm down. Put your hand away. Never shake his hand. I don't know where it's been half the time.
I don't shake mysterious entities' hands when I don't know the exact wording in terms of the deal. So I believe we're good there.
I'm not a mysterious entity. I'm a dragon.
Yeah, at least 3 dragons have tried to kill me. I don't trust dragons. A death knell nearly took me out.
To be fair to him, he's not really mysterious, just more questionable.
Even worse.
I've had like 50 humans try to kill me, and yet I don't hate humans.
No, you just tried to take everything from them.
Yeah, but
First dragon threatened to kill us and or enslave us. We convinced him not to by having Dio arm wrestle him with the addition of a giant strength potion. Second one was part of a hag coven and convinced us to help kill her sisters so that she could absorb their power and end up killing the ancient white dragon that had recently died permanently from its reincarnation cycle. We killed her, and then we got whacked by a death knell from the dragon being murdered. Not the hag dragon, but the dragon she was trying to keep from reincarnating. The other one just sort of hangs out. He's weird. He wants to arm wrestle Dio so that he can surpass his father, but we haven't stopped moving long enough. Was technically hired by Dio's parents for a while, but that was a whole misunderstanding when they thought we were pirates and had a bigger bounty on our heads than we usually do. Not the first time, definitely won't be the last.
Yeah, I know the feeling of having a bounty on your head.
Yeah, assassin contracts. They're great, fun and dandy. Love having to look over your shoulder constantly. Good news is that we are good at sending assassins back in body bags.
We know about them because I'm normally the one that paying them to leave him alone.
Yeah, no, we weren't so lucky.
This is why we don't let him go into town anymore. He tries to take all the bread. But speaking of taking things, if you can get us that holy water, we'd love to have you back if possible.
Realm travel is out of my area of expertise, but I'm sure if you either use the thing you used to get me here, or I can talk to the kid. Actually, telling the kid about it would just have her asking way more questions. So let's try to keep the kid out of it. Just use whatever the hell you used to get me here the first time, and I'll see if I can get some holy water. I'll try not to bring Saturday holy water, though. I don't think that'll get your friend any help.
Oh, that's good. Do you want some lightning bugs with you to go?
Sure. Nana's always looking for more things to experiment on.
All right. I've got a bag right here.
Cheers.
All right. Well, until then, have a good awakening.